Hello friends, my name is Varinder and today we are going to deal with the term sonnet, the definition of sonnet, the different types or kinds of sonnet, and the characteristics of each kind of these sonnets. So let us begin our video. So etymologically the term sonnet is derived from the Italian word sonetto, meaning a little song or sound. So sonnet is a very short poem, and it was originated in Italy, and it was popularized by Petrarch. It is usually a poem of 14 lines. So traditionally, sonnet a sonnet comprises 14 lines, but in 19th century, G.M. Hopkins introduced another kind of sonnet, which he termed as curtled sonnet. As the term implies, he cut short the length of the traditional sonnet from 14 lines to 11 lines. So a sonnet poem follows a strict rhyme scheme. So what is a rhyme scheme? First of all, let me tell you what is a rhyme. Rhyme is a similarity of sound between words in the line of a poem or verse. Scheme is a pattern that a poet follows. So each kind of poem can have a different rhyme scheme. It is up to the poet what kind of rhyme scheme he or she wants to assign to his or her poem. So usually, not always, usually rhyme scheme falls at the end of line, but sometimes rhyme scheme may fall in between the lines. Then it is called internal rhyme scheme. So it is the poetic license. It is up to the poet uh, how he or she wants to assign a rhyme scheme to his or her poem, whether at the end of a line or in between the line. Then the poets who write sonnets are known as sonneteers. So let's proceed to the next slide. In this slide, we will uh, look at the different types or kinds of sonnet. The first one is the Italian or Petrarchan sonnet. As the term shows, this kind of sonnet was popularized by Petrarch. Petrarch was the name of the poet, and he was an Italian poet. So sonnet was originally uh, introduced or introduced in Italy by Petrarch. Later on, Sir Thomas Wyatt and Henry Howard, when they visited Italy, they brought with them the rich and prestigious literature of Italy, and they started writing, or they started translating Italian sonnets into English language, and then the sonnet form was introduced in England. We will discuss about this in the later part of this video. Then the Spenserian sonnet. It was This kind of sonnet was written by Edmund Spenser, who was an Elizabethan poet. He was known for his poems like The Shepherd's Calendar or Fairy Queen. Fairy Queen is a poem which is divided into 12 books. In each book, there is a knight who undertakes a journey, and during his journey, he has to go through a number of battles or number of challenges in order to resolve the mystery and in order to save his beloved. Then the third kind of sonnet we have is English sonnet or Shakespearean sonnet. This particular kind of sonnet was written by Shakespeare. And the last one is curtal sonnet. As I told you before, curtal sonnet is a term invented by G.M. Hopkins in 19th century. So now in this slide, let us take a look on the characteristics or features of Italian sonnet or Petrarchan sonnet. Italian sonnet or Petrarchan sonnet was written in iambic pentameter. So what is an iamb and what is a pentameter? Before I tell you about iamb or pentameter, let me tell you about syllable, about foot. So syllable is just a sound in a word. A word has one syllable. A word may have two syllable, three syllable, four syllable, or five syllable. I mean, a word can be monosyllable or polysyllable. And syllable are of two types: strong and weak syllable. So what is a foot? Foot is a combination of strong and weak syllable. And now let's come to the term iamb. Iamb uh, is a combination of weak syllable and strong syllable, where an unstressed syllable is followed by a stressed one. Now, what is stress and what is unstressed? In a word, there is a sound which lays or which the where the speaker puts a stress, and there are sounds where the speaker doesn't put any kind of stress. So the sound which one is stressed is called stressed syllable, and the sound which which one is not stressed is called unstressed syllable. Now what is a pentameter? Penta means 5. So this combination of unstressed and stressed syllable, if it occurs 5 times in a line, then it is called pentameter, iambic pentameter. Suppose this combination of weak syllable and strong syllable occurs 4 times in a line, then the line the line or the poem was written in iambic tetrameter. If 6 times, then the line or the poem as a whole written in iambic hexameter. 7 times, then the poem is written in iambic heptameter. If 8 times, then it will be in iambic octameter. So it is the occurrence of strong and weak syllable, or if we talk about iamb particularly, then it is a combination of weak and strong syllable in a line. The occurrence decides what kind of meter we have: pentameter, heptameter, hexameter, tetrameter, or octameter. Then the division of the poem, Petrarch or Italian sonnet or Petrarchan sonnet, was divided into 2 parts, or sometimes it is divided into 3 parts. It is up to the poet. First stanza comprises 8 lines, which is called octave, and the second stanza has 6 lines, which is called sestet. Now octave can further be divided into 2 parts: 2 stanzas of 4 lines, and a stanza of 4 lines is called quatrain. Octave is a stanza of 8 lines, and quatrain is a stanza of 4 lines, and sestet is a stanza of 6 lines. So usually octave rhymes, the rhyme scheme that an octave has is AB, BA, AB, BA, and sestet rhymes like CD, CDE, CD, or CDC, or I mean CD, CD, CD. So in Petrarchan or Italian sonnet, the narrator, the lover, always praises the beauty of women, or the lover worships the physical attributes of a woman, like the brightness of her eyes, the smoothness of her skin, and the fullness of her hair. And in order to express his feelings, the poet takes the help of metaphors and similes. In the beginning of a poem, the narrator poses a question. There is a question, or there is a problem in the beginning of a poem, and by the end of the poem, the narrator or the lover proposes a solution for it.